Objective 10. Demonstrate an understanding of the mathematical processes and tools used in problem solving. Number 1. Look at the solid sphere and the cylinder containing water shown in Figure 1. So here we have a sphere that already give us the volume is 51.31, and they give us this cylinder that's full of water, or about 2/3 full of water. Then it says Figure 2 shows the sphere submerged in the water inside the cylinder, and it wants to know which is closest to the height of the water and to the water level in Figure 2. So we're looking for this height right here. So what we need to do is we need to find, first of all, the volume of the water level here. We're not going to be looking for the entire volume of the cylinder. We're just looking at the water level. So we're going to find this volume. Then we're going to add the volume of the sphere and the cylinder. Once we have that, we'll have this total volume here to the top of the water with the sphere inside. And then once we have the total volume here, we can use our volume formula to solve for the missing height h. So let's work through this. Here we have the volume of the sphere is 51.31, so I can go ahead and put that here. Now I need to find the volume of the cylinder. You look on your formula chart, volume of a cylinder is equal to the area of the base times the height. Remember, when you're dealing with solids, big B is equal to the area of the base, and big P is equal to the perimeter of the base. So the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. Well, the base is in the shape of a circle with a radius of 4. And the area of a circle is found by multiplying pi times the radius squared. So what I can do is I can just plug this pi times the radius squared in for big B and tack on my h, and so this expression here is equivalent to this expression here. So, well, what is r? R is 4. So far I have pi times 4 squared times h, which is 12. And I can just plug that into my calculator to get the volume. Pi times 4 squared, which is 16, times my height, which is 12, gives me 603.2 is what I'll call it. So I want to add this 603.2 to the 51.31. And I get 654.5. So I want to take that information, and so what I know now is that this volume is equal to 654.5. So I'm looking for h. So I'll go back to my volume formula. Volume is equal to area of the base times the height. We've already determined the area of the base is pi r squared, then times the height. And we've already determined that my base, well, it doesn't change. It's just going to get, the water level is going to get higher. So my radius is still 4 times the height, which we don't know, but we do know this volume here. It's 654.5. So I want to solve for h. So pi and 4 squared are all both being multiplied with h, so I can just divide by, I'm just going to call it 16 pi since 4 squared is 16. So divide both sides by 16 pi. This goes away, and I get h equals make sure, since it's on the bottom of this fraction, you put 16 times pi in parentheses. If you don't, you'll get an incorrect answer. And I get 13.02. So h is approximately 13.02, which is letter F. Now let me show you really quick. If I would have taken 654.5 and divided it by 16 pi without putting that 16 times pi in parentheses on the bottom, I would have gotten an incorrect answer. So whenever you're using fractions, especially if you have something that's being multiplied on bottom or top or being added on a bottom or top, put those in parentheses. Number 58. The owners of Crispy Sweet Donut Shop want to open a shop centrally located to the police station, the high school, the fire station, and the factory. Based on the information given, which of the following points best represents the location where the new Crispy Sweet Donut Shop should be open? Let's approach this by looking at the answer choices that they give us. Let's see if any of these points make sense or which one's going to be closest to the center. So if I look at 9, 12, that puts me right there, and that's letter F. 5, 13, that's letter G. 6, 10, letter H, and 8, 13, that's J. So which one of these is going to be centrally located? It kind of looks like we have a tie between letter choice J and letter choice F, but I don't think that they're going to put the donut shop on top of the boutique. So it looks like it's going to be choice F is going to be our best answer. Number 29. For each grading period, Mr. Brown gives his students one project and two tests. The project counts as 20% of the student's final grade, and the mean of the two test scores counts as the rest of their grade. In Mr. Brown's class, Anthony earned a grade of 87 on his first test and a grade of 96 on his second test. Which of the following is a reasonable minimum grade Anthony must score on his project in order to have a final grade of at least 90? So we're talking about a total of 100% with all of the grades. The project is going to count as 20%, and it says the rest of the grade is going to be the average of the two tests. So the average of the two tests are going to count as 80%. So if we have these, if we have 20% going to go for the project and 80% going to go for the test average, this is the way I like to look at this. 10%, 20, 30, 40, 60, or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. And so I need to look at the average of these two tests because 8 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are going to be my test averages. So let's look at the average. We have an 87 and a 96. Remember how to find an average. You add them up and divide by how many we have. We get 91.5. So 8 of these are going to be 91.5. So there's my 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% of my test averages. And I need to know what this person, Anthony, needs to score on his project in order to have a final average of a 90%. So since I don't know what he has scored on the project yet, we'll just call those X. So recall that average is equal to the number you have, the sum divided by the number you have. So let's look and see what we have here. The sum is going to be 91.5 plus 91.5 all the way down to here. And there's 8 of them, so it's going to be 8 times 91.5 plus 2x divided by how many we have, which is 10, and that's equal to the average, and the average we want is 90. So now we just have an algebraic equation that we need to solve. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 10 to get rid of this fraction. That goes away. Multiply this side by 10. So 900 is equal to 8 times 91.5 plus 2x. Let's see what 8 times 91.5 is. 732. So I have 900 equals 732 plus 2x. So now I subtract 732. This goes away. I'm left with 2x on the right side of the equal sign, and 900 minus 732 is 168. Let me double check my subtraction so I don't make a mistake. That's correct. Divide by 2. And I get that x is equal to 84. So that tells me that Anthony needs to score an 84, choice B, on his project in order to have a final average of 90.